you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Minister of Education. For nearly a decade, Ontario has hired educators based on seniority, and it has not served our students well, and in fact, it has undermined the quality of teaching throughout Ontario. Regulation 274 was first brought in by the former Liberal government, and it was and continues to be supported by the current opposition. Even the former Premier who brought in this regulation is on the record saying it was, quote, overcorrection. Speaker, can the Minister of Education please share with us why this egregious regulation needed to be removed?
Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. Mr. Speaker, this regressive regulation brought in by the former Liberal government has been relegated to history where it belongs after a decade, Speaker, of ensuring that hiring in this province is being given preference to seniority. It is this government and this Premier who took the decisive step to ensure that hiring and promotions reverts to a system of meritocracy. And I think that is profoundly in the interest of students and in the interest of parents. And the question for the members opposite, for my colleagues, the Liberal Party and Democrats, is will you stand with parents, with students, in saying that this regulation should never see the light of day, that we have to defend the interests of students who demand quality learning, now in this pandemic and every day thereafter? Mr. Speaker, we believe now more than ever, while children are facing the difficulty, the learning loss and the struggle of the pandemic, we have to do everything we can to give our principals the speed and the latitude to hire quickly and hire the very best person for the job.
The supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Minister, it's clear that an education system built around quality, diversity and innovation is one that benefits everyone involved. It's also clear that currently our education system does not adequately reflect our province's rich diversity, in part due to previous hiring practices. Ontario is a beautiful mosaic of cultures and peoples, and this should be represented in our educational system. Speaker, can the minister please share with us how the revocation of Regulation 274 will better reflect our communities in our educational system?
Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I think the member raises a very important point, which we have seen in boards across the province. You know, earlier, one of the remarks was that the status quo is indefensible, the concept that we should not sit here and defend a system that is not ensuring that merited people of diversity are in our schools. In Peel, where I commissioned and called for a review, the report was quite clear. In schools with 50% racialized students, we have less than 25% of racialized educators. How is that acceptable to any one of us? It is 2020. We need to ensure our communities reflect, that our educators reflect the communities in which they serve. Principals, school board associations, parents, students themselves have called for it. The only audience, the only constituency calling for the status quo are our union partners, respectfully, and the members of the Liberal Party. And I think that is absolutely inconsistent with the interests of quality, with the interests of our students. And you can count on the Premier to continue to ensure that we drive the reforms that ensure more equity, more diversity, more mobility for the next generation of educators in this province.